Hey, what's up? It's Andrew here from Offshore Audio, bringing you tips and tricks to mix better live events. I actually got a comment recently, today, asking me if I recommend going to study audio engineering. And I thought that was such a really good question. And I know loads of people ask it and there's loads of videos about it, and I never thought to answer it, but I've been asked. So I replied in the comment, but I really just feel like I didn't do the question justice. It's such a complex and difficult question that I thought I'll just make a video about it and I'll try and cover how I feel about it and what I think about it in this video. So do I recommend studying audio engineering? Let's find out. As always, if you need something to kickstart your journey into live audio, then you can check out my 3-step guide to perfect EQ. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below, or you can go to offshoreaudio.no/EQ. And this guide is just a really short 3-step guide that gives you actionable steps you can take to implement better EQ decisions right away, get you on the path to fantastic EQ. But without further ado, let's dive in. I'm going to start off talking about me here because I love myself. No, that's a joke. Because it's important that you know my perspective on things, because everyone has a different perspective. That's how I see things anyway. I did go to study audio engineering. I studied 4 years of a program called Audio Technology at Glasgow Caledonian University in Scotland. I'm probably going to call it university a lot in this, but I think Americans and some places else in the world call it college. Same thing, higher education to study audio. And as a Scottish citizen living and studying in Scotland, I did not have to pay tuition fees. So that's a big caveat here. You need to remember that I did not pay to go to university, and no Scottish people in Scotland pay to go to university. And that's also quite common in most of Europe. I speak from a European perspective here. That's important to remember. I did take out some loans to cover some of my cost of living while I was studying, but I also worked part-time while studying at the same time. So I finished university with a 4-year degree in audio technology with a debt of about £10,000. I don't know what that is in dollars, probably about 12,000, not a lot anyway. It's also important to know that I went to study audio engineering because I wanted to and because I was curious. So with that in mind, let's move on to why I think you should study audio engineering and why you might not want to study audio engineering if you want to be involved in live events as a sound engineer. So why should you? Right, this may be a bit rambly because I'm sort of just doing off the cuff with some notes I just made. A major benefit here is the structured learning, right? It's 4 years of very developed structured learning that takes you from zero to finished, right? You get your hand held in a certain way along the way. In the real world, if you choose to do this without a degree, you just, on you go. Whereas when you go to university, they will put you in a system and say, this is how we're going to do it. Kind of like how I'm doing right now. I'm telling you how I'm going to approach this video, right? In the university, they're going to tell you how they will approach teaching you, what the aim is at the end of it, and the path you will take to get there. So you know where you are on this course, on this pathway. And you also get graded along the way. So you know, are you assimilating the information at a level that is expected of you? Now, something that comes along with that is also the broad and connected learning that you get with it, right? You don't just study the audio that is necessary to mix live events, right? You study everything around it. You study audio theory, you touch on acoustics, you might touch on some electrical engineering, you might do networking, you might do a little programming. You know, if you think after 10 years of your live sound career, what if you do want to create plugins? What if you want to design the software that runs on digital mixers? If you don't go to university, you start from square one in that respect. Whereas like if you have this sort of broad interconnected bank of knowledge, then you can sort of draw on that and say, oh yeah, actually I've had 12 weeks of intense programming of audio effects before actually, although I haven't done it in years. Like that information doesn't disappear from your head. And the final sort of hard yes thing on learning from universities for me is the guidance, right? There is always someone there to ask how it's going, right? Whether that is someone in your class who is clearly excelling at what they're doing and you can see that, They probably love to explain their perspective on how they are understanding everything. You have your lecturers, your professors as well, and they're always available, even if it's just for 2 minutes at the end of a lecture, to say, hey, I just can't get my head around this. Is there a time I can drop by your office just so you can clear it up for me? And by and large, they say yes. In my experience, my professors and lecturers at university were great people. I really, really liked learning from them and speaking to them. Which takes me on to your network. When you finish studying, and while you're studying, you meet a lot of people, and these institutions, universities, are connected to other institutions and companies and business, and they're in dialogue with businesses. And sometimes all it takes is to ask for a favor, and you can get in somewhere. Or sometimes part of the program is introducing you into industry. And these contacts last a lifetime if you want them to. Certainly after I finished university, I reached out to my professors when I was starting a few harebrained schemes, some other things I wanted to do, running events and things. I asked if I could come in and have a chat with them, and they're always open for that because it's beneficial. It's a two-way street. When you start really doing things in the world, they still want you to interact with them, and you can still tap into their knowledge, and you can turn into more of a friendly professional relationship. So that's great. And then a few other things that are sort of ancillary to the learning experience, right? And that is the life experience. I loved it. I had an amazing time there. I got involved in clubs, learned to snowboard. I met loads of friends, went to loads of parties. It was fantastic. It was really fun, and it helped me to develop as a person. And what's more, after that 4-year stretch, you get a clear accomplishment, right? You get a piece of paper, which although seems symbolic, and it is, it's telling you hey, you did it. You invested an amount of time, and that is done now. And I don't know if I've mentioned it this much on this channel, but I am a big fan of beginning and finishing things. I think the finishing of a project is the most important thing. You won't get very far if you just dwell on a song or something for 1 year. But if you write a song every single month and release it, your skills improve the more you complete projects, right? The more projects you have under your belt, the better you get at that thing. But let's jump over to the other side, right? Let's talk about why you shouldn't go to university. A reason you shouldn't study it is not a magic bullet. You're not going to finish your degree and then walk into a job in a venue or in a recording studio or whatever. You're not going to come out of university and suddenly the struggle will be over and life is better. It definitely opens doors for you, but the work does not end at all when you get that paper or you get bopped on the head with a hat or however they do it in your part of the world. It'll set you up for life if you let it, but there is a great deal of self-determined work that you need to do to have a career in live sound. Even if you have a degree, there is still an enormous amount of work that you need to do personally. With that in mind, if you have self-determination, you can learn everything you need to know to do this job, live sound, from books, the internet, YouTube, libraries. You can learn it all from other sources that you don't need to pay for, or that you perhaps only pay a small amount of money for. Getting into live audio is still extremely competitive, and a degree doesn't usually give you that edge because nothing replaces real world experience. When I finished university, I wasn't exactly super qualified to be a live sound engineer. I developed those skills on the side. Maybe I developed them quicker because of my degree, but probably not. But I think if you put aside 4 years of your life and solely studied being a live sound engineer, you'd probably be a lot better at live sound than I was when I finished university. So going to university is no substitute for real life experience. And if you can get that experience now and you know that all you want to do is work in live sound, then you can do that. And let's talk for a minute about the cost, because in a lot of the world, going to study in university is extremely expensive. We're talking multiple years of good salary worth of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of money to achieve this piece of paper. And audio is not a very lucrative field. It's not like you can guarantee that you will pay that money back in 5 years. That could and probably will haunt you for most of your adult life. If all you want to do is mix shows, then spending $100,000 to do it is not a great idea. Another reason why you might not want to go to university is that you spend a lot of time broadly studying audio, as I listed as a benefit in the last part of this video. But if you only want to work on live shows, you probably won't enjoy learning about networking or programming or anything. Joke's on me, I hated learning about networking. But if you focused all of that time solely on live audio, you would probably get very, very good at it very quickly. So let me just sum up my feelings about this then. Would I recommend studying audio engineering? I would recommend it because I had an amazing time and it cost me nothing. So as a sort of clear, is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Yeah, I think it was a great idea, but I didn't have to pay for it. So I think if you're going to pay an enormous amount of money, then I don't think it's such a great idea anymore. If you have proper self-determination and the skills and the willpower to set out your own course, you can teach yourself everything that you need to know. But then again, I learned that at university about myself. I learned that I could do those sorts of things after 4 years of being told how to do it. And if you don't know what you're looking for, it can be hard to find it. I think as well, from my perspective, my point of view, it's not goodwill hunting, right? Like, you're not going to just read a few books and by age 21, you're going to be like some prodigy of mixing shows. It won't happen that way. You need to put in an enormous amount of work to develop these skills over a period of time, and nothing will change that, university or not university. You still need to put the work in to get to where you're going. It's worth noting as well that if cost is prohibitive, there are places in the world where you can actually study without paying tuition fees, even if you are a foreign national. I think Finland and Norway and several of the Nordic countries actually welcome people from all over the world to study without paying any tuition fees. That's actually changing in Norway right now, but it might still be the same in Finland or other Nordic countries. So investigate that. If you want to study, then think about moving abroad and studying for free. If you're going to take out $100,000 in student loans, why not take out $100,000 and live in Iceland or Denmark or something? Anyway, I hope that answered some of your questions. As you can see, there's quite a lot of thoughts on this, so please leave me a comment if there's something you're wondering about, or send me an email. I will answer it. It's a really interesting conversation. Again, if you want to get started with Live EQ, check out the link down in the description for my 3-step guide to Live EQ. Again, just 3 really simple steps that you can take to get better at Live EQ. And if you're thinking about not going to study at university, that's probably a great place to start understanding what you need to mix a great live show. Again, always, if you found this content helpful, please subscribe and like the video. Let me know if there's anything else that you're wondering about. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.